Cristian is with Fabi for a podcast.
Well, we don't have a podcast, Yasser, right now scheduled, but we do have an interview because Fabiano just finished his game against the newly crowned world champion, Ding Liren. First of all, Fabi, welcome to the show. Tell us a bit about your approach to this particular game. Well, let's talk about yesterday as well, because you played Bogdan Daniel Deac, the lowest rated player in the event, and you did surprise him and got some nice advantage, at least a practical advantage out of the opening. Did you feel that was a success, and did you miss any chances in yesterday's game?
Yeah, I think the opening he knew relatively well, more or less. Like, he played a good line and he equalized. But at some point he played a very, very bad move. Like, it was an equal position for pretty much the entire game, although I guess he was starting to get a bit under pressure, especially with time, and then he played bishop h5, which is a very bad move, and I responded also with a very bad move. And after bishop h5, I'm probably winning. If I take on c5, it should be a winning position. But after rook c1, it's again nothing, and then he played well in time trouble. So yeah, yesterday was unfortunately a pretty big mischance.
But today, with the black pieces against Ding Liren, we know how much residual opening preparation he might have coming from the World Championship match. What was the strategy? Were you trying to surprise him early on in the opening? It felt like you did.
Yeah, I'm not sure he actually has anything from the match. Like, my impression is that he had no ideas at the end of the match. At some point they ran out, and he's not really like trying very hard at the start of this tournament. Maybe he's still trying to recover some energy, but yesterday he didn't really try very hard against Maxime, and today as well I played a very, very unusual line.
Let's talk about it. Did he surprise you at all with the Catalan, or was that something that you were more or less expecting?
I thought that he could play first move c4, and I decided to surprise him a bit by playing what Jan played against him in the tiebreak. And there, instead of d4, he played b3. But it led to a very, very dry endgame, so that's why I wasn't surprised that he would go for the Catalan.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of like the main things I thought could happen today. And okay, knight c6 is a super rare move. I think he's faced it before against Jan. Or no, sorry, not against Jan, against Faruja.
Yeah.
Faruja played against him. I'm not sure that might have been a blitz game, but or maybe a rapid game. But it's a very rare line. Ali Reza likes it. It's basically his line. Computers don't like it, but it's not bad at all. And I think I played a novelty with queen d7. I think that game was with queen e8 against
Queen to e8 in this
yeah,
position.
Ding. And he was thinking a long time. Maybe he was trying to recall exactly the details of the line. Queen d7 is a new move.
And what is the main difference between this move, queen to d7 and queen to e8?
I mean, the main point of the position is that black is worse unless you dislodge the knight from c6. Like, the knight is very dangerous, but white lacks some development to keep the knight on c6. So one of the main ideas for black is to play bishop c5 at some moment. And for example, queen to e8 has the idea of playing bishop c5 but avoiding knight e5 after queen e7. But queen d7 is still preparing bishop c5. That's why white plays rook d1, so that bishop c5, knight e5. And now rook fc8 is sort of like, it's kind of a useful move. The point is white can't develop so easily without allowing, because knight c3 hangs the knight. Knight takes e7, black gets c5 very quickly. So this is probably nothing. Yeah,
So like bishop
e5, yeah, h6.
c5 or h6 first.
Yeah, but usually white wants to maintain the knight. And so a very critical move is knight to d2, because if white gets just like one more move to play knight f3 here, black is in like very serious positional trouble. And so black should play bishop c5, the point being that knight e5 now, queen takes d4 is possible. And then this is like a very critical line, and b4, and rook d8, bc5, and knight d6. Yeah, like, for example, the computer I see here shows that black is much worse with various moves, but it is objectively okay, and it's very sharp. It's very risky, of course, because black's kingside is damaged. White could develop an attack, but somehow black is always in time because the knight becomes very active once it gets to f5. So okay, this was a very critical line in bishop g5. I think he basically showed that
He was ready to maybe call it a day, or?
yeah, it's the safest move. It trades a lot of pieces. I thought that he would actually go for this one, because if c5, d5, Yeah, and I think like one of the moves was queen to e7. I think this was okay. Like I remembered, I think this line c5, d5, and knight to a5, allowing d6, which was kind of possible. Yeah, d6 somehow is not very good for white, and yeah, I mean black has many approaches, so I was going to think in case we got here, because I didn't really check this position. I just knew that this was one of the ways for white to get like a very slightly better position.
And then he decided to.
I think he kind of thought this was interesting for white.
Some idea to put the rook on c3, maybe take.
Yeah, like knight d8, rook c3. I think that this is basically his dream. And one of the important points is that, for example, if I play bishop b7 and bishop c5, it just doesn't work because queen e4.
Ah, okay.
Otherwise, he would have to retreat his rook here, and maybe I would equalize. But, I mean, knight c5 was the first move which came to mind, and it just took a little bit of time to...
Just make sure you're not blundering anything. And
Well, just some details, like, for example, rook d3. I think, yeah, there's probably a5, but also I was kind of reasonably... I was actually not 100% sure about this position, because he sacks a pawn, but he gets the c4 square. So I was going to think after rook d3, but I thought a5 is probably a clean bailout. And yeah, there were probably other moves. Even like c6, I was thinking, I mean, I just first stop any invasions on c6 and then chase the knight away. And
he decided to repeat after thinking for quite a long time.
yeah.
Were you expecting him to try to continue in any way, shape, or form, or were you expecting him to
I was
just-
hoping he would.
You were hoping.
I was hoping
that-
he would, because like I can't really deviate here. I don't have a way. I think without getting a worse position, or at least a slightly worse position. But he has some ways which look interesting after knight b7,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit disappointing, I guess, to make a draw with white so early. So I was hoping maybe his kind of ambition would carry him forward a bit, but and okay, he's a bit lower on time, so maybe I would get a game. But I wasn't too surprised that he repeated, because it does start to look a bit risky with your knight on b1, kind of just, it's not in the game, so you're not really in a position to play on.
Fabi, a balanced start to this tournament. We'll see you in the next rounds. Thanks. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Fabi. Question for